The answer is no. And yes. So let's go through it. First of all, race, if we're talking about race as a genetic feature, she's not white. Because no one's white. Race is not genetic. You can't look at someone's genetic makeup and say they're in this race or they're in that race. The origins of the different categories and the ways that they've changed over time are socio-political and economic. And just to give you an example, kind of a famous example, let's name that group. In the late 1800s, whites said this group was musical, natural dancers, kind of violent, they looked like monkeys and chimps, and they were discriminated against kind of horribly because they weren't white. And exactly, the Irish! And in fact, the Irish didn't become securely white, according to other white people, until the early part of the 20th century in the United States, when Irish gained political and economic prominence, especially in northeastern cities. The change was socioeconomic, not scientific. Dude, what if Sarah Palin were Irish? Would she be white? Today, people would consider her to be so, but 150 years ago? Nope. But what if she were Hispanic? Oddly, in my life, it's gone the other way. I grew up in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Oh,
all
no.
right. And my friend Victor Hernandez was Mexican. And
Latino.
No, he wasn't Latino. He was Mexican. And back then, there was no Latino in Knoxville, Tennessee. There was no Hispanic. And when he said he was Mexican, it was like when Michael Coletti was Italian, and when I was French, and someone else was Welsh, and someone else was English, and all that, all securely in the white category. But today, they're Latinos, and they're Hispanics, and things like that. So Victor Hernandez, who knows what he thinks about it, but he is now talked about as being not white, but Hispanic. Not because of some new genetic discovery, just social changes. Oh, so if Sarah Palin were Hispanic, she would have been born white and now not be white. So if we actually look at genetics, what we find is that there's very little variation genetically among all humans on Earth. That means any of you could go and find any other human, and you would be more similar to that other human genetically than one chimp would be to another chimp in a group in the Ivory Coast. Genetically, we are all basically African. The Venn diagram on the left is how most of us think about race. That we're each, a totally different race, but there's something we have in common that makes us all human. But when you actually look at the genetic patterns that you find, what you find is that the African genetic variability, represented by the blue circle, is greater than you find among Europeans and Asians, and almost all, not all, but almost all genetic variability you find among Europeans and Asians, you also can find among Africans. We are a subset of African genetic variation. So it's a nested hierarchy. Sarah Palin is African, as we all are. If she is also European, that's okay. To say someone is European is to say that they are also African genetically, because of our common origin there. And notice, those circles are placed appropriately. The amount of genetic variation and the type of genetic variation among Europeans and Asians is almost identical. Okay, so a better way of looking at it is Klein's. And Klein's is when you take a single trait and you map it out as it varies over, geographically. And so this is based on actual research in skin color of Aboriginal populations across the world, skin darkness. And what you can see is, in Africa, if you can see it well, there are shades of skin darkness. Not everyone has the same shade, and that's true in every other continent, although in Australia they don't have it that way. And there are people with dark skins all around the world. How would you choose where to draw the line? It's a continuous change. Should you have 3 groups? 6 billion groups? Somewhere in between? Why are there lines in the first place? Why would you draw the line? And let's look at that. There are people with really dark skins, and this is going to be important later, in southern Arabia, and then also in southern India, Australia, Indonesia, pretty dark there in Central America. We'll be pointing that out later. Should they all be part of the same race? Also, look at the Americas. That's the skin darkness of different Native Americans. Should they all be in the same race? They have different skin darknesses. Maybe we should have 3 different kinds of Native American if skin is so important in determining how someone is. And yet they all descend from a group who entered the Americas about 14,000 years ago. Remember where the skins are dark, because that does not coincide with something genetically determined, like whether you have sickle cells in your blood. The sickle cell allele, or variety of a gene, will help you protect you against malaria. So there, I was brought up, as a lot of Americans were, being taught that sickle cell anemia was an African or African American disease. There are public service announcements targeting African Americans, as if that was the only group in danger. But look, the redder parts of that map are where there's a higher percentage of the population with the sickle cell allele. And it's only some parts of Africa. South Africa? No. The Horn of Africa? No. But check it out. The hot spot is over there in India. Doctors might be missing a potential sufferer of this condition if they think of it in racial terms. You find it where in the old world malaria is endemic. You can even see it up there in Greece, Southern Europe, Turkey, places like that. Oh, and notice, where the skins were darkest in Southern Arabia, no sickle cell. They're separate issues. So overall, race is a bad predictor of how people will be. Because really, we wouldn't be talking about it if we just said someone's white, someone's dark, and that's it. We make predictions about people based on that identification. And so what we say is there's greater variability within these supposed groups than between them. So let's say we're going to make a celebrity basketball tournament, and we just don't know who that 5th player is going to be. Will it be Connie Chung, representing the Asian Americans, Martha Stewart, representing my people, the European Americans, or Oprah Winfrey, representing African Americans? Let's conduct an experiment. We're going to ask everyone around the world to jump as high as they can, starting with you. So 1, 2, 3. That was really good. So what you'll find is in every group, some people can't jump. Not just because they're falling down drunk, but some people actually are paralyzed or don't have legs and things like that. So there's going to be zeros always. But if you actually look at the national champions, the national record holders for countries around the world for high jump, the records are very similar in Korea, Lithuania, the United States. The upper limit's very similar also. So the range is great within each category. The averages tend to be pretty similar. So maybe Asians end up with higher jumping, let's say. But only by a little bit. And you'd be making a bad bet if that's the basis you used for choosing Connie Chung. Now, you could ask, how much does she weigh? How often does she work out? Was she a professional jumper? So let's practice this in real life. This is a group of guys celebrating their gold medal in the 2004 Olympics. And we're guessing what sport it is. They're from Argentina.
Polo!
It's basketball, all right. And did the United States send a team?
Yeah.
The United States did send a team of NBA stars and mostly, African Americans. Okay, what about these guys? They won the 2006 World Championship of basketball. They're from Spain. Same story. The United States got the bronze medal with a team of NBA stars. Silver medal? Greece. So Sarah Palin played basketball. If she was good, she still might have been white. Let's look at the NBA MVPs for the last 5 years. Steve Nash up there in the upper right, Dirk Nowitzki there in the lower left. They're from Canada and Germany, respectively. That's like plus one in the right hand there. You've got Kobe Bryant and LeBron James from the United States. It's a variety of people who can be good at basketball. I say this because I've been on the court waiting to be picked. Okay? Yeah. Please feel sorry. Okay. What do you think these guys did to get up on my slideshow? They are the gold, silver, and bronze medalists in the Olympics for the last 2 Olympics in high jump. Maybe white men can jump. And I'm sure, black men and all sorts of people can jump too. That, the point is not that white supremacy, the point is, the point is, genetically, there are no white people. These are the marathon, elite group of marathon runners, the world record holders there in the middle, number 101, Paula Radcliffe. And, you see a rainbow of humanity there. It's not a racial thing. So maybe race doesn't explain the thing that people haul out most frequently for it to explain. Does it predict funkiness? Maybe Sarah Palin is funky. Look closely. Does anyone know who that is? Yeah, Sly and Family Stone. And that's Sly there on the right. But look at those 2 guys in the middle. They look marvelous. They're not. I can be only one of them's the drummer for Sly and the Family Stone. You don't know their music, so I'll sing a little bit. Sometimes I'm right, but I can be wrong. Yeah, soulful, funky. Don't think it was something racial. Otis Redding. Yeah, I know. He wrote that song with that guy, Steve Cropper, who also was playing on it and produced the recording. So, despite all that, race is real socially. It has real effects in people's lives. It's not like the Emperor's New Clothes where everyone sees that there's nothing there, but they pretend it's there. It's more like the Madonna's New Tortilla, which is what we see up there, where you have to be prepared to see something and react to it in a particular way for you to react to it in a particular way. And it's a lot like, race is a lot like caste among Hindus, clans in a variety of societies, astrological signs, blood types. That movie poster is from a Korean movie called My Boyfriend is Type B, because many Koreans and Japanese, not all of them, believe that blood type determines what kind of personality you'll have. From this perspective, we wouldn't be asking, is Sarah Palin white? We'd be asking, is she O negative? This delusion, this mass delusion, has real effects in people's lives. And I would hate to just say, let's not collect racial statistics, because there is racial discrimination going on in our society today, demonstrably, about who can get loans, housing, all sorts of things. And in the past, even more important things like being enslaved and a variety of who can vote, a variety of important things. So many anthropologists, while questioning the genetic basis of race, do not question this delusion's effects in people's lives and the need to make up for it. So, taking an example from South Africa, in South Africa, the term black today legally means you were discriminated against by the apartheid regime. Because black is just a European concept imposed on tremendous diversity among native South Africans. So, if your group was also discriminated against like black South Africans were, then you qualify as black legally also. So here is a black South African. South Africans of Chinese descent are legally black. So, wrapping up. Is Sarah Palin white? Genetically? No one's white. But, socially, does she think she's white? Do other people think she's white? Do you think she would be in the position she is today if people thought she was black? Or Chinese? Then you betcha. She's white. Socially. Thank you.